Hello, and welcome to the Science for Sleepy. Tonight, we drift together into one of the softest questions in the natural world. A question that doesn't rush. A question that arrives slowly, like weather, like breath, like a raindrop rolling down a window that no one watches but everyone feels. Why is the smell of rain so calming? The answer isn't fast, it isn't loud. It's a story of scent, of memory, of the invisible. A tale told through water, through time, through molecules that rise with the wind and settle into our lungs like a lullaby. So get comfortable. Let your thoughts wander. Let your eyelids grow heavier with each slow beat of the storm. If this kind of story soothes you, gently subscribe to our sleepy corner of science. Like this video if the smell of rain has ever made you pause and tell us, where in the world are you listening from and what time is it there? Let's share the weather of our minds. Now we begin. You stand beneath a sky gone quiet. The clouds above you are thick and low, and the light has dimmed, though the sun has not set. Everything feels hushed, as if nature herself is holding her breath. No wind, no bird song, only stillness. The moment before the first drop. The air's different. You don't see it, but you feel it. Cooler, heavier. The invisible pressure of something on its way. You tilt your head and inhale, and already it begins. Not the rain, but its scent. That strange, sweet, earthy aroma. Like stone and root. Like dust waking up. This is petrichor. A word made of ancient Greek, petra meaning stone, and ichor, the blood of the gods. A scent that rises from the ground, not the sky, not the rain itself, but what the rain stirs. And then, the first drop lands. It does not crash, it kisses. The world does not explode into action, it exhales. One drop becomes many. The sky softens into rhythm, a murmur of falling. You watch it spread. Across the street, the grass, the rooftops. Not all at once, not evenly. Some places remain dry while others begin to glisten, but the scent is immediate, as if it had been waiting, sealed inside the ground, ready to rise. And so we begin not with thunder, not with lightning, but with the softest kind of science. What it means to smell a change in the world. What it means to feel peace through your nose. We don't just observe the rain, we breathe it, and with that breath, we step inside the story. The rain deepens, and so do we. You close your eyes and breathe again, not out of need, but out of instinct. A kind of reflex, like sighing when something finally feels right. The smell in the air is no longer faint. It wraps around you. Not strong, not sharp, but full, like the memory of a lullaby you didn't know you remembered. What is it that makes this scent so familiar? We drift inward now, not just into the air but into memory. Not yours alone, but shared memory. An echo passed down, perhaps older than language. You smell the rain, and something inside you says, I've been here before, even if you haven't. Even if the landscape is new, even if it's the first time you've truly noticed. This smell has a name, petrichor, but names only touch the surface of knowing. What you feel is deeper, a strange comfort that moves through time. And maybe that's because this scent doesn't just travel through your nose, it travels through your mind. It passes the gates of the logic and walks straight into emotion. There, it taps gently. On memory, on mood, on meaning, and waits. Rainfall becomes a story you remember without words. For some, it brings childhood. A screen door creaking open, damp socks, steam rising from a street after heat. For others, it's travel. Monsoon roads, jungle mornings, a tent lit from within. And for some, it's simply now. A breath of calm in a life that rarely pauses. But no matter the story, the feeling is the same. grounding. You're here. The world is wet and alive and gently slowing. Your thoughts slow too. We float deeper into the biology of remembering. When scent enters your nose, it travels through a special passage, the olfactory bulb. But unlike most senses, smell does not take the long road. It doesn't ask logic to interpret. It moves straight into the limbic system, where emotion and memory dwell. That's why a single scent can open a door in your mind that no image or sound could ever unlock. And petrichor, the smell of rain on dry earth, is one of those keys. Why? Because it's not just a scent from now, it's a scent from then, from when water first met land, from when roots drank deep for the first time, from when animals smelled survival, from when shelter meant more than comfort, it meant life. The smell of rain carries all of that distilled. We stand in the present, but we breathe in something ancient. Even when you're safe indoors, dry and modern, some quiet part of you reacts, not with fear, not with urgency, but with something slower, softer, a release. You are allowed to rest, because the water has returned. The sky has remembered you. Outside, the rain continues, not harsh, not storming, just steady, like a thought that doesn't want to end. You listen, and you smell, and you let go. And as the scent of rain curls through the room like a slow ghost, you find yourself not just remembering, but being remembered. Beneath our feet, hidden in the folds of soil and stone, a quiet chemistry waits. The smell we breathe above ground, this petrichor, begins far below, where roots sleep and minerals settle like dust across dreams. Let's drift down now, through the earth softened by rain. Not far beneath the surface, microscopic beings stir. They've always been there. Actinomycetes, thread-like bacteria older than many plants, weaving through soil unseen. In dry times, they rest. But as the rain begins, something shifts. The water wakes them. And what do when they wake? They release a compound called geosmin. You've smelled it 1,000 times, though you've likely never named it. It's the scent of damp earth, freshly tilled soil, a forest after rain. A molecule so distinct that the human nose can detect it at concentrations lower than nearly any other substance. Just a few parts per trillion, and yet it can flood the mind with calm. Why is something made by bacteria so beautiful? Perhaps because it speaks directly to what we came from. Long before cities, before memory, before shoes or science, we lived in the dirt, not beside it, but within it. We planted in it, hid in it, returned to it when we died. The smell of soil, rich and wet, became a signature of safety, of sustenance, of home. Geosmin is carried upward by raindrops landing on dry ground. Each impact sends tiny particles into the air, bursts of scent like invisible fireworks. A single drop striking dust becomes a messenger, carrying the story of below to the world above, and the more it rains, the more messages are released. We walk through these airborne whispers unaware, but our bodies know. Our breath deepens, our muscles loosen. The atmosphere is no longer dry, brittle, sharp. It is round, software rich. This smell, a collaboration between water, bacteria and dust, doesn't just comfort, it restores. Even the word geosmin tells us what it is. Geo, of the earth. Osme, smell. A reminder in 2 syllables that we belong to the ground we stand on. We float beside a root now. It stretches downward, surrounded by a living web of life. Fungi, bacteria, mineral veins. There is no emptiness here, only quiet purpose. The soil is not dead. It is a deep, slow city. When the rain comes, it does not just moisten, it activates. The geosmin rises, the petrichor blooms, and you, standing above, inhale the product of millions of years of unseen labour. You do not need to know the science to feel the peace, but the science too is peaceful. It says, this is natural. It says, you're not separate. It says, even the smallest lives can soothe you. As you listen to the rain, think of the earth below, awake now, whispering back through the air, and let your thoughts sink like water into soil, slow and complete. Above the falling rain, higher still than the clouds that carry it, something sharp begins to form. Not sharp like a blade, but like a breath taken too deeply. You've smelled it before, though you may not have known its name. That sudden, clean scent before a thunderstorm begins. It is ozone, and it means the sky is shifting. We rise now, drifting beyond rooftops, above the mist, into the charged air where storms are born. Here, electric forces move through invisible threads. The atmosphere is not empty. It is alive, full of particles and pulses waiting for a spark. And when lightning comes, it is more than light. It is chemistry. A bolt of lightning breaks apart oxygen molecules, O2, and reassembles them into ozone, O3, 3 atoms holding together for only a moment before beginning to fall. But in that moment, they carry a scent, one that we recognize immediately. High, bright, almost metallic, a signal not of danger, but of change. You breathe it in before the first thunder rolls, before the rain reaches you, before anything falls. And though you may not understand why, your body responds. You become alert, but not afraid. Aware, but still. It is the scent of readiness. Animals smell it too. Birds go quiet. Dogs grow restless. Even trees respond, closing their paws in anticipation. The air thickens, not with water, but with charge. And as ozone descends, it mixes with the other aromas already waiting. Geosmin from the earth, petrichor from the dust, moisture from the sky. Together they weave a scent that is entirely storm, a scent that cannot be made, only discovered. You stand within it, not noticing how deeply you're breathing. The scent does that, opens your chest, calms your pulse. Even in the approach of thunder, there is peace, because the sky is honest in its coming. It warns you gently, chemically, beautifully. We often think of storms as violent, but their beginning is delicate. A single charge, a single molecule reformed, a single signal sent on the wind. Ozone doesn't linger long, it is a scent with urgency. But while it's there, it becomes part of the emotional palette of rain. A sharp top note to the soft chords beneath. A moment of brightness before the grey. As the rain begins again, steady, rhythmic, sure, the ozone fades. But something in you remembers it. That breath before thunder. That high scent of sky split open. That moment when the air is more than air. It is signal. It is presence. It is a promise that even chaos will come softly. Now we return to the ground where each raindrop becomes a sculptor. It's easy to imagine rain as soft, formless, water falling without will. But each drop is a precise tool shaped by surface tension, gravity, and momentum. It does not fall randomly. It lands with structure, and each landing changes the air. We drift beside a single droplet as it descends, slow now, so slow. It is round, suspended, gleaming, a sphere of weightless potential. As it nears the earth, something begins to shift inside it. The surface ripples, the air pushes back, it begins to flatten just slightly as it meets resistance, and then contact. It lands not with splash, but with breath. And from that moment, a miracle unfolds. Tiny bubbles form at the edge of the drop, capturing molecules and microorganisms from the surface below. In these split seconds, minuscule particles of organic material, oils, spores, dust, are released into the air. They burst outward in aerosol form, drifting upward on small plumes of invisible force. This is how the smell of rain spreads. Not from the rain itself, but from the encounter, from drop-meeting dust, from water-kissing matter into movement. We drift through these aerosols now, a fine mist of scent rising like steam. In each particle, geosmin, ozone, pollen, microscopic debris. But together they create something more, a smell that is not individual but communal, not sharp but layered. It doesn't hit all at once, it builds. Every drop releases a few more notes, like fingers slowly finding keys on a piano. The music of scent emerges, and you are inside it. The harder the surface, like stone or pavement, the more aerosols are produced. That's why rain on a dry sidewalk smells so strong, so suddenly. But even in the woods, where the ground is soft and rich, the same physics applies. Raindrops act like sculptors here too, coaxing the air to carry the breath of the land. You've seen it before, how dust rises after impact. This is the same, only finer, only deeper. The scent does not just lift, it surrounds. Even a short rain, a brief passing shower, is enough to stir this response. Your nose, without instruction, picks up these particles, not because you're trained, but because you're alive. Your body is wired to notice change, especially the kind that matters. Rain changes things, and your senses, patient but present, awaken to meet it. We do not often pause to thank the raindrop, but tonight we do. For each one is a sculptor of scent, a messenger, a translator between earth and air. You breathe again, slowly now, and with that breath, you welcome what the rain has carved from silence. Let's pause for a moment. Not in silence, but in breath. The rain continues outside, steady as thought, and yet something inside you shifts. You're breathing differently, slower, deeper, without effort. Rain does that. We drift now into your lungs, into the gentle rise and fall of your chest, into the atmosphere within your body, shaped not just by need, but by feeling. Have you ever noticed how the air tastes different when it rains? It's not just a trick of scent, it's chemistry. Humidity rises, dust falls, particles that normally float, pollen, pollutants, irritants, are washed down. The air is cleaner, heavier, rounder. It holds more water, and yet feels easier to inhale. Your lungs sense this change. The smooth tissue expands with less resistance. The brain, noticing the ease, signals calm. The pulse slows, the shoulders drop. You didn't choose this, your body did. Cool air has a calming effect on the autonomic nervous system. It tells your parasympathetic pathways to engage, the part of your body that says, rest now, digest, heal, breathe. The science is gentle, but real. And then there's the rhythm, the soft percussion of droplets on roof, leaf, window pane. It's not just background noise, it's white noise, or something better, pink noise, with frequencies that mirror the natural rhythms of the brain. It soothes, it synchronizes, it slows thought to the speed of falling water. Even the absence of sound matters. Rain often quiets the world. It muffles traffic, softens conversations, silences birds. The external fades and the internal rises. You become aware of yourself, not in the sharp, self-conscious way, but in the way that says, this body, here, is safe. This breath is enough. We float through this awareness now, from nose to lungs, from lungs to blood, from blood to brain, each part receiving rain's message. Slow down. Even the scent plays a role here. Inhaling petrichor doesn't just remind you of something, it does something. It interacts with receptors that influence mood. Some scientists suggest it may stimulate parts of the brain involved in emotional regulation. Others see it as associative. Your body has learned over time that rain means relief and now responds accordingly. Either way, the result is the same: calm. The rain does not ask for your attention, but it receives it anyway. And through that quiet noticing, your breath becomes a ritual. Inhale, exhale, presence. You may not see the molecules shifting, but you feel the change. And tonight, that's all that matters. Let the air move gently through you, like mist. Let the rhythm of rain guide your rhythm. Let this body, yours, become as soft and slow as the storm beyond the window. Let us now enter the mind, not in thought, but in scent. We follow the air you've just breathed. It carries with it the rain's perfume, geosmin, ozone, the delicate trace of soil, molecules dancing across your olfactory receptors, and with them, something awakens, not cognition, not language, but emotion. Scent is the only sense that travels directly to the limbic system. No detour, no filter, just straight to the part of you that feels, that remembers, that dreams. We drift through this space together now. The sensory cortex, the amygdala, the hippocampus, a soft lattice of nerves and memory. It glows faintly, like stars behind a cloud, and through it flows the invisible stream of smell. This is why the scent of rain feels like a story you've already read. It touches places in you that words cannot reach. It doesn't explain, it reminds. A room from childhood, a garden, a walk alone after something ended, a promise you never spoke aloud. And here's what's strange: the memory may not be real. The brain, when stirred by scent, sometimes invents context. It wants to match the feeling, so it creates a setting, a character, a moment. You smell the rain, and suddenly, you feel at peace, but you're not sure why. That's because it's not a single memory. It's a constellation of impressions, tied not to detail, but to feeling, calm, safe, small in the best way. We float gently around this moment, the moment when petrichor becomes emotion. You aren't reacting to rain as weather anymore. You're reacting to it as presence, as intimacy. There's more. Neuroimaging has shown that smell activates the brain's default mode network, the part involved in daydreaming, introspection, imagination. So when the rain comes and you breathe its scent, your mind loosens, your thoughts wander, you begin to drift. This is not just comfort, it is chemistry. And yet it doesn't feel mechanical. It feels personal. Perhaps because you've smelled this rain before. Not this exact storm, but one like it. And your brain, gentle archivist, stored the feeling without telling you. Only now, with the right key, does it unlock. You're not thinking about deadlines, messages, decisions. You're simply here, breathing, feeling, drifting. The scent of rain makes this possible. It doesn't demand focus, it invites surrender. We linger in the brain now, not as scientists, but as dreamers, watching how something as small as a molecule can ripple through memory like a drop into still water. Your body is calm, your breath is slow, and your mind, once sharp, once full, is softening. Like soil after drought, like the sky, ready to rain. Let it happen. You do not need to understand the storm to be moved by it. We drift now across species, across centuries, into minds not our own. The scent of rain doesn't just speak to humans, it speaks to animals, and not in metaphor, but in biology. A signal woven deep into the instincts of survival. You and I are not the first to pause when petrichor rises. Long before words, before houses, before fire, there were creatures whose lives turned with the weather. We hover beside an elephant in the savannah. The sky has dimmed and the herd is still. But this matriarch, old, silent, watchful, lifts her trunk and inhales. She smells something carried on the wind. Not moisture alone, something richer, a promise, a direction. And then, slowly, she begins to move. Rain means water. Water means life. She remembers where it last fell. Her body remembers. Her blood. Her bones. And now, her breath does too. The others follow. Now we drift farther, to arid lands where camels stand beneath scorched sun. The air is still, and then they stir. Nostrils flare. Petrichor. It doesn't come often, but when it does, the message is clear. Endurance will be rewarded. Somewhere, the world is softening. Even wolves know it. We watch them in forests and tundra, pacing between trees. They are not afraid of storms. Rain is cover. Rain is silence. Rain masks scent, except for the first trace of it, that moment of transition. When the world begins to change and their senses sharpen in kind, insects too, ants change direction, bees turn homeward, the scent of rain is a clock for the wild. It tells all things to prepare. And fish, yes, even beneath the water, detect the shift. Rain cools the surface, sends messages down through layers. Species adjust their swimming, their feeding, their silence. This is not magic. This is sensitivity. The scent we call calming was once called survival, and some part of that remains in us. Perhaps it is why the smell touches something deeper than comfort. It carries the gravity of long memory, not personal, but evolutionary. When you breathe in the scent of rain, you're not alone in feeling what you feel. You're in the company of elephants and wolves, of grasses and trees, of rivers and waiting soil, all tuned to the same frequency. And that scent, petrichor, is not just chemistry. It is communion, a shared signal, a single language between beings who have never met but have always listened. Tonight, we listen too. We float now into something deeper, older than memory, older even than thought. The smell of rain once meant survival. We rarely think of it this way now. We have roofs, we have taps and reservoirs. Rain is weather, not warning. But long ago, before cities, before storage, before certainty, rain was everything, and its scent was a sign. Imagine a dry season, dust thick in the lungs, cracks in the ground like open mouths, plants brittle, animals lean, time heavy. Then, that smell. The first molecules of petrichor rising, delicate and powerful all at once. A whisper carried on the wind. It's coming. To ancient humans, this scent meant hope. To others, it meant movement, migration, bloom. It meant the cycle was still turning, that thirst would end, that life would resume. Those who smelled it early, who followed it quickly, often survived. And so, generation by generation, the body learned to love this scent, not as preference, as instinct. The pleasure you feel now, smelling rain, may be an echo of that ancient relief. Your ancestors breathed that scent and lived another day, and their bodies remembered, not in stories, but in cells. We drift into your nervous system again. There's no word for this memory, but it's there, encoded, a warmth that spreads with every breath you take as rain falls outside. You feel it not as thought, but as softening, a loosening of the muscles, a slow exhale, a signal, you're safe now. The scent of rain didn't just guide movement, it marked time. The seasons turned by it, crops depended on it, rituals began with it. In many ancient cultures, petrichor wasn't just a sign of water, it was the breath of gods, a divine scent falling from the sky. And even if we no longer kneel before the storm, we still feel something sacred in its arrival. The comfort is not abstract, it is biological. Because your brain, shaped by survival, still responds to rain like a long-awaited answer, and your body, even resting, even sheltered, still receives the scent like a gift. It says, the drought has passed, the world has not forgotten you, you may rest, and so you do. Each breath a little deeper, each thought a little softer. The rain does not need your understanding to soothe you. It only needs to arrive. Listen carefully now. Not with ears, with time. Rain does something strange to the clock inside you. It slows it. Not by stopping motion, but by changing perception. When the sky opens and begins to fall, the world feels quieter, longer, softer. You notice things you would have passed. Your thoughts spread out. We drift now into this dilation, this gentle stretch of time. A raindrop hits a leaf. Another touches glass. Each sound is small, but together they form a texture, like a slow-moving river made of rhythm. The sound of rainfall, steady, varied, yet always returning, creates an auditory pattern that the brain relaxes into. No sudden peaks, no sharp breaks. This predictability acts like a balm to overstimulation. It gives the nervous system a rhythm it does not need to brace against. As a result, your mind opens, you stop rushing, you begin to wander. That's the strange gift of rain. It makes you feel like you have more time, not because the minutes change, but because your awareness softens. There is less urgency, less interruption, less edge. We float now through a memory that isn't yours but could be. Sitting by a window, watching droplets race down the pane. The world outside is grey, but you are warm. Your focus shifts, not forward into deadlines, not backward into regrets, but sideward, into stillness. Some scientists call this a soft fascination, a state in which attention is gently held but not strained. You're present, but drifting. This is the same state encouraged by meditation, by gentle music, by the ocean's tide. But rain does it best, because it involves all the senses: touch, scent, sound, breath, and most of all, time. There's something else. Rain disrupts visual contrast. Shadows soften, edges blur. Everything appears closer to the same value, not dark, not light, but middling. This tricks the eye into seeing less urgency, less depth, less danger. The world becomes simpler, you become slower, and slowness is not weakness, it is medicine. We're not meant to move at full speed forever. The brain craves rhythm and variation, bursts and pauses, the rain brings pause. You feel that now, don't you? Time is not gone, it's just less important. You're not being asked to do anything, you're being allowed to do nothing. And in that allowance, your mind, always rushing, always tallying, begins to rest. Let the seconds stretch, let the drops fall, let time pass without shape. Because sometimes the most healing thing the world can offer is a moment that does not need to be filled. Let's drift closer now, not to the storm but to the soul. There is something about smell, something no other sense possesses. It bypasses thought. It leaps past reason. It touches something wordless, emotional, raw. And when it's the scent of rain, it doesn't just remind you, it moves you. We drift now into the architecture of scent and self, how one subtle aroma can shift not just memory, but identity. The smell of petrichor is not always a memory. Sometimes it's a feeling with no past, a swell in the chest, a soft ache, a strange comfort without explanation. You felt it before, that moment when a scent enters and you close your eyes without thinking. That's not habit, that's biology. Your olfactory system, the neural pathway of smell, is the only one that connects directly to the limbic system, the seat of emotion, mood, and long-term memory. Every other sense takes a longer route, filtered through layers of perception and reasoning. But scent walks straight into the room. We follow it now, gliding through this neural corridor, passing the amygdala, which governs emotional response, and the hippocampus, which holds memory. Petrichor brushes both, but not like a fact, like a feeling. This is why the scent of rain can make you cry without knowing why. It is why a single breath can make the world feel meaningful, even if nothing has changed. It is why, in the middle of a storm, you may feel less alone, even if no one is near. The molecules of rain interact with receptors in the nose, but they also spark neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, the soft chemicals of ease. The brain, in its quiet way, smiles. And here is something stranger still. Sometimes rain smells like a person, not literally, but emotionally. A moment with someone, a goodbye, a first meeting, a pause in the conversation, with rain tapping the window behind you. Your mind may never retrieve the full memory, but your body recalls the weight of that hour. The scent brings it back, not as a photograph, but as sensation. And so, the smell of rain becomes a language your body speaks without you. It says, here is calm. It says, here is sadness, but safe. It says, you have lived and you are still living. What other sense does that? The sound of rain soothes. The sight of it calms. But the scent touches your soul like a hand you forgot you were holding. Let it hold you still. Let it say what you cannot say. Let it remind you that beneath all storms, some part of you remembers how to be whole. We drift now into a single raindrop, not metaphorically, but truly. We slow our minds until time stretches and the falling drop becomes a small world. From a distance, rain looks like a blur, a shimmer, but up close, each drop is its own miracle, shaped by invisible forces, moving with purpose through the atmosphere. Let's watch one together. Suspended in air, it begins as vapor. Water molecules gather around microscopic particles, dust, salt, pollen, until they become heavy enough to fall. Gravity does the rest. But even in descent, the drop is not simple. It forms a sphere, not because it wants to, but because surface tension pulls every molecule inward, wrapping it in symmetry. A trembling, glistening orb. We enter it now, slow, silent, like light through glass. Inside, there is no noise, only molecules dancing, temperature shifting, particles suspended. A raindrop is not just water, it is atmosphere. It carries what it passed through, trace gases, pollutants, scent molecules, memory. It holds a record of the sky, a diary of its fall, and as it drops, the outer surface warps. Air pushes against it, the bottom flattens, the top curves. It does not stay a perfect sphere. It becomes teardrop-shaped, but not the way we draw it. The classic pointed tip and round base is a myth. Real raindrops are more like hamburger buns, domed on top, flat on bottom, wobbling as they fall. Even the fall is complex. Large drops fall faster, small ones drift, some evaporate before touching ground. Others break apart mid-air, becoming a cluster of smaller droplets. No two drops fall alike, and yet, all carry scent. Geosmin clings to dust particles inside the drop. Ozone dissolves into the water. The moment this drop touches Earth, it will release what it carried, like an unopened letter pressing into the page. That first contact creates aerosols, as we saw before. But within the drop, long before it lands, the preparation has begun. Rain doesn't just bring scent, it builds it, in layers, in motion. and now we leave the drop gently and rise back to where we were. We watch it land, feel the soft tap it makes, and remember everything it carried. You will never see it the same way again. Each falling drop is a vessel, not only of water but of story, of distance, of change, of return. A raindrop is the smallest storm you can hold, and the scent it brings is its signature, its breath, released upon arrival. Let them fall, let them speak, let them tell you, in their silent way, you are part of something vast and gentle. We drift now across the textures of earth, not to watch the rain fall, but to smell where it lands, because the scent of rain is never one scent. It's a blend, a conversation between water and surface, and every surface speaks differently. Let's walk together. First, a city. Rain taps on rooftops, slides down windows, strikes pavement with quick, echoing steps. Petrichor here is sharp, mineral, electric. Concrete has its own voice, dust collected from cars, feet, smoke, old paint, rust. The rain releases all of it in one exhale. You breathe it in and feel the hush of a street just washed clean. Now we move to a forest. The scent changes instantly. Rain on leaves is a chorus of green. The canopy breathes, moss darkens, bark drinks. Fungi bloom open quietly beneath the ferns. Petrichor becomes lush, warm, spiced with decay and new growth. Here, geosmin mingles with chlorophyll, with loam, with a faint sweetness of wood. Every step releases scent. Next, a field of dry grass. Here, the earth is brittle. It soaks slowly. The rain is gentle, almost afraid to fall. But when it does, that first breath. A golden smell, like hay steeped in memory, like sun turned to vapour. The scent here is delicate, but it lingers. Now, a desert. You would think there's no smell at all, but you'd be wrong. The first rain on sand is sharp, surprising. Hot dust cooled too quickly. It smells of stone, of salt, of time. In some deserts, plants lie dormant for months, waiting, and when rain touches them, they bloom in scent before they bloom in colour, a perfume of survival. We drift over farmland, soil thick and turned. Rain hits this ground like a welcome guest. The scent rises in layers: earth, root, compost, seed. It smells like labour and promise, like sweat and spring. Even rain on metal has a smell, on bridges, on car hoods, on old railings. The scent is not natural but not wrong. Iron has its own memory. Rain brings it back. The tang of rust, of history, of tools left outside. It smells like forgotten work. And then the sea. Yes, rain on the ocean. You'd think water on water would be scentless. But the moment the first drops strike the salt, something happens. Aerosols lift from the foam. Sea minerals mix with ozone. There's a brightness here, a scent of distance, of waves and wind. We gather these smells like quiet souvenirs. Same rain, different lands, different stories, and in every place the body reacts, adjusting breath, adjusting memory, adjusting presence. Petrichor is not one note. It is a symphony, played on the instruments of the earth. Tonight, you have heard many of them, and the music is not finished. We drift now into the molecules themselves, not just as scent, but as story. Let's begin with geosmin. You've met it already, the earthy note in Petrichor. But what is it? Geosmin is an organic compound with a powerful smell, produced by bacteria in soil, especially actinomycetes. During dry periods they wait, dormant, invisible. But with rain, they bloom, not in colour, not in movement, but in chemistry. Geosmin is what tells you, this is the earth. Your nose is astonishingly sensitive to it, detecting even a few parts per trillion. You might not remember a face from years ago, but your body will remember this scent forever. Now, ozone, the sharp tang that arrives before a storm, formed high in the sky when lightning slices through oxygen molecules. Ozone signals that the air is charged, alive, ready to change. Its smell is bright, alert, like wind with edges. Then there are plant oils, secreted during heat and stored in dry leaves, bark, or soil. Rain coaxes them out, gentle, resinous, slightly sweet. The smell of eucalyptus after a shower. The tang of crushed pine, not imagined, molecular. These compounds interact, mix, rise. The science doesn't lessen the magic, it amplifies it. Even the act of falling rain generates chemistry. As droplets hit the ground, they produce tiny air bubbles that burst upward, carrying particles of organic matter into the air. You breathe in the surface of the world. You inhale information. There's terpenes, which give rise to herbal, citrus, and forest smells, released when rain disturbs foliage. You don't need to see the tree to smell its leaves. There's aldehydes, found in decaying plants, that create a slight sharpness, a reminder that rain nourishes life, but also speaks to what has passed. Together, these molecules are not chaos. They're choreography, a scentscape, a language written in carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. But beyond the molecules, beyond the neural signals and pathways, is meaning. The brain responds not only to what it detects, but to what it associates. Smell is emotional. It links to place, to safety, to memory. When you smell petrichor, your body interprets, this means water, this means rest, this means return. And so even when you're indoors, dry, far from nature, the scent can still calm you. Not from reason, but from resonance. You're made of chemistry too. Your blood, your breath, your skin, all receptive, all porous, all tuned to the scent of falling water on warm ground. Some part of you understands it, not with words, but with peace. You smell the rain, you recognize its parts, and your body says, yes, this is right. The rain touches not just the earth, but you. Imagine standing beneath a soft drizzle, no umbrella, no urgency to move. The droplets land on your skin, each one a cool whisper. It's not just a feeling, it's a conversation. Your body reads the rain, and your mind listens. Rain on skin has a strange intimacy. Each drop is its own note, like fingertips tapping. The nervous system lights up gently, not with alarm, but with awareness. These signals travel across tiny nerve endings, carried through the spinal cord, up to the brain. And there, touch becomes sensation, and sensation becomes thought. But something else happens too, mirror touch. When you listen to rain falling on a roof, on leaves, or on distant pavement, your brain interprets those sounds as touch-like events. It's as if your skin is feeling something your ears are hearing. That's why the sound of rainfall can feel so soothing. It's not just sound, it's phantom touch, calm, steady, safe. There's also warmth in contrast. As cool drops meet warm skin, the body becomes acutely aware of itself. Blood vessels constrict slightly, then relax. Your breath shifts. You feel alive, but not tense. We drift now into the mind's perception of water. Psychologists have found that the sound and feel of rain activate parts of the brain linked to parasympathetic response, the mode of deep rest and healing. Your heart slows, your muscles loosen. You begin to enter a state that feels almost like drifting, even if you're fully awake. And there is memory again. Rain on skin can trigger flashes of childhood, playing outside in sudden storms, laughter in puddles, the smell of wet clothes drying slowly. Even if you can't recall a single scene, the body remembers the feeling. But rain touches more than the body. It touches thought. It changes the way your mind moves. Notice how ideas during rainfall come slower but clearer. The rhythm of drops tapping around you acts like punctuation, creating gentle pauses where thoughts can settle instead of scatter. Sometimes we need these pauses. Sometimes we need rain not for the earth, but for ourselves. Tonight, as you imagine the rain touching your skin, feel how your body softens. There is no rush. There is no demand. Only this moment, this rhythm, this reminder. You are here. The world is wet and alive, and you are part of its quiet conversation. We drift now into a younger mind. Not yours now, but the one you once carried. Softer, quicker to wonder, unguarded. The child you were breathed differently, thought differently, felt more directly, and when rain came, it wasn't background. It was a world event. Have you noticed? Children often love the smell of rain more than adults. They run to the window. They tilt their heads up. They breathe in without knowing why. Let's step inside that younger awareness now. The olfactory system in children is more sensitive. Their neurons are still forming and pruning. Their scent associations are still fluid. Each rainfall might be the first time they register a smell as meaningful. And so, it becomes large, lasting, permanent. To a child, Petrichor is not nostalgia, it's discovery. We hover beside a memory not of a particular day, but of many days. Small bare feet on a wet porch, the sound of droplets hitting buckets, the hush of a classroom as rain begins to tap against the windows. The smell enters before the lesson stops. The teacher pauses. The children turn toward the sound, and even indoors they feel something shift. Rain, in youth, is a presence. Children don't ask if a smell is scientifically calming, they just calm. Their bodies are more reactive, not in panic, but in openness. The scent of geosmin, stronger to them, might mean explore. The scent of ozone before a storm, watch the sky. Rain doesn't trigger memory yet, it builds it. And that's what scent does best in youth. It lays the foundation for emotional resonance later. You don't remember the first time you smelled rain, but your body does. The smell now, as an adult, reaches into that foundation and taps it. You may not recall the porch, or the walk home, or the playground puddles, but you feel them. They echo beneath the scent like a low drum beat. And maybe that's why rain can make you feel small in the best way. As if time has softened, as if you're allowed to pause, as if something ancient and kind has returned. Children live in sensation first. Their boundaries between body and world are thinner. They don't separate the smell of rain from the feeling of wet socks or the sound of thunder. It's all part of one immersive moment. And perhaps, on rainy days, we return to that. Not as regression, but as reconnection. You're not trying to be young again, but you are remembering what it felt like to sense without question, to smell without naming, to feel rain as presence, not interruption. Tonight, you can let that child part of you breathe again. No effort, no interpretation, just breathe, just scent, just the soft wonder of water falling on a waiting world. Now let us drift far beyond Earth, past the clouds, past the moon, through the soft darkness of space, to ask a question no storm has ever spoken aloud. Does rain fall on other worlds? The answer is yes, but not the rain you know, not water, not petrichor, not the scent of soil softened by weather. Out here, rain comes in stranger forms: liquid methane on Titan, sulfuric acid on Venus, molten glass on exoplanets that orbit their suns too closely. We begin with Titan, Saturn's largest moon, the only other place in the solar system with liquid lakes on its surface. But the rain here is not water, it is methane, cold, clear, slow. Clouds gather just as they do on Earth, but the air is thick with hydrocarbons. When Titan rains, it drizzles like syrup from clouds that drift in yellow haze. There is no geosmin here, no ozone, no soil to stir up ancient bacteria, but still the rhythm is familiar, drop by drop, stillness before descent, a world waiting for water in whatever form it arrives. And what might it smell like? On Earth, methane is odorless, but if Titan has any trace organic particles, those molecules might mingle in the air and form their own kind of petrichor. We cannot yet smell it, but perhaps one day someone will. Now, Venus, thick with atmosphere, dense with carbon dioxide. Here, clouds stretch endlessly, and rain does fall, but it never reaches the ground. It begins as droplets of sulfuric acid, forming in high-altitude clouds, then evaporates in the scorching heat before touching soil. Still, imagine the scent, if any could be sensed through a suit thick enough to protect the skin. Acrid, metallic, alien, not soothing. But even here, rain marks change, cycles, chemistry in motion. We drift onward, past Mars, where it once rained, long ago. The ancient Martian sky held water once. The land bears the scars of old rivers, dry lake beds, forgotten oceans. And perhaps, when the rain did fall, it stirred dust that had never known sound. What did that first Martian storm smell like, if anything? Perhaps it was sharp, sterile, charged with the scent of oxidized stone. The memory of that smell, if it existed, now sleeps in silence, locked beneath rock and frost, and still farther, to exoplanets beyond our system. Some worlds rain iron, others rain molten glass that falls sideways in 1,000-mile winds. Still others might rain ammonia or diamond, the pressure of their atmospheres turning carbon into crystals that fall like shattered stars. No geosmin there, no petrichor, but still something. Rain always carries signature. Even in alien worlds, it changes surfaces, releases scent, however strange. And if there are beings there, sentient or not, or perhaps they too breathe a little slower when the sky begins to fall, perhaps they too find peace in the rhythm of descent. So tonight, as rain taps softly outside your window, remember this. Rain is not only Earth's gift, it is the universe's way of whispering you're not alone. Across black space, across time, rain falls. And on every world it carries something new. The rain has passed. We drift now into the moment after, when the sky is light again, but not yet bright. When the world has stopped falling and started breathing. This is the scent that stays, the after rain, the linger. Not geosmin rising, not ozone arriving, not thunder's breath, but something gentler, fainter. Like an exhale the Earth didn't realize it was holding. The storm has moved on, but its memory is stitched into the air. We walk through the wet quiet, shoes soft on damp ground. The leaves are heavier now, dripping. Roofs glisten. Pavement gleams in streaks of silver. And in the stillness, the scent settles. Petrichor doesn't vanish when the rain stops. It transforms. The heat of the sun begins to return, not fully, but enough to warm the surface, to lift the last of the scent upward. You can smell everything more clearly now, the wood, the grass, the road, as if the rain wiped away a layer of dust from the world itself. This smell is not sharp, not full. It's a fading chord, a note held, then released, and it changes how you move. People walk slower after rain, birds wait longer to sing, animals emerge in careful steps. There's a softness in the air, and it asks for quiet. Not silence, just stillness. The world has been rinsed, and so have you. We drift alongside your breath now. Each inhale carries molecules of what just passed. You're breathing the memory of rain. The scent is more than chemical, it's emotional. The storm is gone, but you're still wrapped in it. Isn't it strange? How something as invisible as smell can make you feel forgiven. Forgiven for rushing. Forgiven for forgetting. Forgiven for not being soft enough with yourself. The rain does not judge. It falls, and then it leaves. But the scent it leaves behind is a trace of kindness. A scent that says, you're still here. A scent that says, you made it through. A scent that says, let go now. Everything is clean. Let that be enough. Let the world after the rain be your world too, damp, quiet, tender. Let the last molecules rise into the air and into your mind, not as thoughts, but as peace. The scent of rain stays only for a little while, but it's calm, that stays longer. Now the rain has stopped. The storm is a memory. The scent is a fading thread. And you are here, quiet, still, whole. The air is damp with silence. Each breath you take is slow, cool, and easy. You're not trying to sleep. You're simply not resisting. Your body is soft. Your thoughts are slower now, as if they too are sinking into the soil. The room around you is still. Maybe outside a drop still lingers, a final tap on glass like a lullaby nearly forgotten. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. Your breath is the only weather now. Inhale, long and gentle. Exhale, slower still. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to do. Just let go. The scent of rain may be gone, but its lesson remains. The world can soften. You can pause. You can begin again. There is no storm here anymore. Only air, only breath, only rest.